What's up, guys? This is Kephas, and we are back in World of Warcraft leveling with me, Kephas. And we're in the Frostfire Ridge, getting started here. Beginning our adventures in Draenor, which is pretty cool, man. We've made it. We've come so far, so very far. And I'm hanging out here with one of my favorite characters in the game entirely, and certainly my favorite character in this expansion, Durotan. He's awesome, man. Love this guy. Looking forward to the movie just because of how much of Durotan is going to be in the movie. Fun fact, the voice actor who does his voice, I believe, is the same voice actor who was Wolverine in Wolverine and X-Men Evolution. Not Wolverine and X-Men, but X-Men Evolution. And he also did the voice of Piccolo in the Oceanic dub of Dragon Ball Z, which was the first dub that I heard before it switched over to Funimation. So, a very, very nerdy fact for you guys there. We don't want to switch weapons because we have awesome weapons. So yeah, I like that. I recognized his voice immediately when I heard it, and I double-checked IMDb, and sure enough, that's who it is, which I thought was pretty cool. So that makes me like him even more because I love that voice actor. I love that version of Piccolo. It was always better than the Piccolo, well, you know, voice from the other version. That was a terrible, terrible impression, but my voice is shot. I have a little bit of a cold. So if I cough, I will try to do my best to mute it and all that. So if you hear a minute of silence, it's probably because I'm coughing. But anyways, we are going to kick butt here in this place. It's kind of weird leveling without using one of those potions, though. It's been a while since I've done it this way. But that's alright. It's what we're here for. We're here to enjoy the leveling experience. No tricks. Heirlooms is enough. But yeah, unfortunately, we probably won't be doing any dungeons. Because they're completely inefficient. At least they were when I first started doing this. If that's changed, by all means let me know. But when I was leveling early on and I tried to do a dungeon, it was like the XP was nothing. I think I got like, for an entire dungeon, I got like 10% of a level, which is like garbage. So yeah, I don't run dungeons when I level up here, unlike everywhere else, which I kind of hope they fix that for the future, because it's kind of nice to run dungeons, and it's kind of lame that you don't, so there's no reason to. Also, we hit 91, so there you go. And we're definitely taking some damage, so I'm hoping that leveling up will up my gear enough to make it not so bad. I might have some gear that's out of date, so I need to pay attention, but it's alright. We're doing my least favorite thing in the world, and that is create a garrison. I swear, man, every game I play has a garrison in it. Even freaking The Division has garrison, like you build a base. It's just like, what the heck, man, with this? Like, it's in everything. Fallout had settlements. Metal Gear had the base. Division has a base. This has the garrison. It's just like, it's everywhere right now. It's driving me absolutely crazy. Some games do it fine. Other games not so much. Fallouts wouldn't have been so bad if it wasn't for Preston and his, I have another settlement for you to do the thing for, and you're like, oh my holy god. Can I not ever, like, stop, dude? But the rest of it, like building up the dungeon, building up, that'd be awesome, building a dungeon. But, you know, building up your settlement and designing it the way you want and finding new settlers, all that kind of stuff, that part was fine. But the rest of it, doing the missions all the time, that got annoying really fast. But I would say that World of Warcraft's Garrison of the games that I played is probably the weakest of those, like, of that game style. I mean, it was literally nothing more than Farmville, or it's like playing a Facebook game. It didn't really add anything. If anything, it took away from a lot of the game. I don't feel like having a garrison added anything special to the game. That's just my opinion. I've talked to death about that, so we won't talk too much about it. I do want to say thanks to everybody who's been watching this series and has been enjoying it. It looks like you guys are pretty excited about Season 2 because I've gotten so many people voting. If you didn't know, I will say it again. I have a straw poll up. It'll be in the description because we will be doing a Season 2 of leveling because I love leveling in this game, and that's about all there is to do right now. And we're going to do Alliance side. Since this time we did Horde, well, next time we'll do Alliance. And I want to let you guys help me pick a class, and since we already did Warrior's off, so everything else up though, so check that straw poll and vote. Pick which class you want to see me play, and I will get cracking on that. As soon as this ends, Season 1 ends, we will begin Season 2. So, don't forget to do that for me, that'd be awesome. Right now, Druid is still in the lead. I've gotten lots more votes since last time, and Druid is still somehow staying up there. So you guys really must want to see me do a Druid. Everybody else is getting some love too, though, except for Monks. Monks only have 1 vote, so I kind of feel bad for those guys. But that's all right. I will play whatever you guys want me to play. Pretty excited about it. But yeah, that's pretty cool. And we are about to create our Garrison, I believe. I remember the first time I did this, there was a bug right here at this quest. For Alliance side, you just talk to a dude. For Horde side, you go up here and you click on this little spyglass thing. And day 1, you cannot click on it. It wasn't clickable. We were just sitting here. There were hundreds of people just chilling right here. But yeah, we couldn't get past. We couldn't even get into our garrison for the first day. So that kind of halted progress for everyone, and it was really frustrating. But they fixed that, obviously, and also there's like no one here anymore. So that's a problem in and of itself. But here we are. We are in the frickin' garrison. Yay! Yay for everybody. Great. I'm so glad to be in this stupid place. I hate this place. I hate this place. I hate this place. I want to get out of here immediately. I want to leave. Can we leave? I want to leave. I don't like it here. I'm sorry. I can't help it, guys. I apologize. I just can't help it. Where are we going? We're going... Cool, we get to leave. Gotta get some salvage, I think. I gotta remember... See, there are like a ton of quests here, and I don't really have to do them all, but I just do because it's too complicated to not. Also, Drekthar is doing his thing, and it's awesome. Here's a quest. Alright, for crying out loud. I'll try to avoid doing certain quests, but some quests I will do. And it's really weird doing this for this, because like I don't really intend on doing anything with this character in game right now. It's just for leveling, so I'm like, should I just kind of ignore some of this stuff and just kind of focus on the leveling parts or what? But it looks like, let me see. Okay, we gotta go over here and do a thing. What's the third quest? Grog slain instructs release the peons. Okay, I think I need to talk to this guy. We will do that. It's a bit confusing. We'll also do some treasure hunting while we're at it. Maybe kill... There we go. That's right. I gotta talk to this guy for reasons. I've done this so much on Alliance lately. This is the first time I've done a Horde Garrison startup in quite a while. But I think what I'm going to do for this, unless you guys really want to see me move on to a different zone, always give me feedback. But I'm planning to just kind of finish out this zone and move on from there. Seems like that'd be the best way. At least we get some, some progress in. Until I get to the point where I just don't like what I'm doing in the zone anymore, we'll probably just stick it out here and go from there. Normally what I do is I use the potions on the bonus objective areas and then kind of go from there. But we don't do that. We're doing this the slow way, which is quite alright. No problems. Sometimes you got to just take the time to enjoy the content. It's there. Even though I've done it 50,000 times, it's quite alright. But I do kind of want to get through it as quickly as possible. I've done it so much. I'm sure you guys probably feel the same way. I mean, we've all been here for a while now, so yeah. If you want to see me, by the way, if people want to see me do that, if you want to see me use the flasks, let me know between now and next episode, and I will do that too. If that's something that you want to see, I'm more than happy to do that. Or we can just do it this way. As it goes, I'm just going to do it the fun way or the slow way, and which is, depending on who you are, that's fun. It's actually fun to me to do it this way. It's not too hard. If I do it the slow way, it takes a little bit of I guess it really doesn't take a lot of concentration, but I do need to pay a little bit of attention. It is pretty cool, though. I always forget that I can skin, and look, that gives me this this thing here, so I can up my skinning to 700, which is nice. I have forgotten this entire expansion to skin things, but again, it doesn't really matter that much. Money has not been an issue for me. I've actually, it's funny when I think about it. I have epic flying on this character. It's really my only character on this server. I started from scratch, and I'm not even a max level character. It's been so easy to get money. It blows my mind. And all I've really done, well, let me see. There may have been a couple times where I sold pets, but not very much. Most of it was just kind of earned through selling mats as I level to make some money. Couple dailies here and there. I can't really think of anything special that I did. Maybe a couple pets to get a little bit here and there, but even then, like depending on what pets I sell. Some pets I can sell for 1,000. If they're super rare, I might be able to get a couple thousand off of them. If I get lucky, maybe I can get a lot more, but not very often. Usually I expect to gain about maybe under 1,000, but more than 500 for a good pet, roughly. It just depends. I'd say around 2,000 maybe for a really rare pet, probably about 2,000. It really just depends. But anyways, so maybe I did one of those. I can't remember, but otherwise it's actually been pretty straightforward. I have a pretty decent amount of gold now. Got like 8,000 almost. So by the time I finish leveling up this character, I should have 10,000 gold just from leveling. It's kind of crazy, really. Like, how the heck? Just leveling and doing gathering professions, getting all the gathering mats, not a big deal. Hopefully I can kill this guy. Okay, he's not a rare. The rare, it's confusing sometimes to remember which mobs are rares and which ones aren't. But, yeah. Oh, watch it. But we're already 91, which is crazy. And we're moseying right along. You level pretty fast. I mean, 90 to 100 does not take very long, to tell you the truth. It really doesn't. Which isn't a bad... At this stage, that's not a bad thing at all. It's kind of weird. I wonder what it'll be like in Warlords. Not in Warlords, but in Legion. There was ore back there that I totally missed. I don't care. But what will it be like in Legion when we don't need our garrison anymore? Will it be worth it to even bother? Or I don't know. It's kind of weird when you think about it. Let's go kill this rare over here. There's one right over here. I've got handy notes up. It's really helpful. And plus, I've done this so many times, I kind of remember where everything is. There actually was a rare by my garrison when I was building it, but I just didn't feel like messing with that one. But we'll kill him just because it gives some pretty good gold and get some garrison resources. I will try to use those 100 resource flasks that you can get. Like, you spend 100 resources, you get like I think it's like an hour-long flask. I can't remember how long it lasts. Okay, I need to pay attention what the heck I'm doing. These rares are pretty weak. These are like health sponge rares. I think that's my only complaint about the rares in Warlords is like, I mean, like the mantids out in Pandaria that you fought, they could kill you. If you weren't paying attention, like those could kill you. Here I wasn't paying attention and grab this horse so we can get our thingy, our recipe. There it is. Like I wasn't paying attention at all there, and that thing wasn't even really messing with me. It barely tickled. So, I don't know. It's they're definitely a lot easier. There really wasn't ever a moment where I felt super challenged. I mean, did anybody ever feel like they were being super challenged by any of this stuff? I mean, just maybe I just got lucky. I don't know. I guess maybe Spires of Iraq and Nagrand, when I got there, I felt a little bit more challenged. I felt like some of the stuff there was a little bit harder if I was rushing too much. So, but the rest of it not so bad. Just my 2 cents on it. Let's go up here. There's a treasure chest right up here that we can grab. I always get this one. I think it has garrison resources in it. It's up at the top of this tower. Now it used to be, now that you can fly, it's easy to get these, but it used to be a little bit more challenging when you couldn't fly. That's why I never really expected them to put flying in too soon, was because a lot of the content also landed on the wrong platform. But a lot of the content in this expansion was built around not flying. So I never really expected them to add it. I don't think they would have added it if there hadn't been such an outcry for it. Unfortunately, it's just one of those situations, like I've said it before, that once you put the toothpaste, you get the toothpaste out of the tube, it's really hard to put it back in. So flying is an example of, they opened Pandora's box and they were never going to go back. But the content was certainly designed around no flying. So hopefully in Legion, now that they've kind of accepted that flying is going to have to be part of the game, that maybe they can design it in a way, where flying, maybe like you can't fly there to certain things. Like, I don't know what I'm even trying to say, to tell you the truth. But like maybe where it's harder to fly, I don't know, or something like that. What am I doing? I don't know. Something that maybe when we do have flying, that there's a way to keep it from getting too crazy. I kind of like the method where, like, when you went to certain, like, new islands and stuff in Pandaria, you couldn't fly there. Certain locations, maybe they can remove flying, remove the ability to fly in. Stuff like that they could do. I think, I think there's a way that you can maybe have it in and not make it take too much away from the game, but also have it be there for convenience for when you're just trying to get from point. Like, here's flying. Flying is getting from point A to point B. It's kind of speeding up that process a little bit so that you don't have to wait so long, and it kind of removes the tedium that comes with repetition in this game. Because after you do it one time, it tends to not be as exciting. But if they can come up with a way to have that still be a thing, but also not allow it to take too much away from the questing experience somehow, like not allowing us to fly from the start is a good idea. Like for new characters when we level up for our first time, that's fine. That's a good way to do it. But after that, like maybe there's a way they can say, okay, well, in this zone or in this portion of the zone you can't fly. Maybe it's inside a building or who knows what, or maybe it's like you get shot down, kind of like the defensive stuff, 5.1 content. All right, we're going in here now. I get kind of confused as to where I'm supposed to go sometimes, but we're getting it. All right, now we're gonna go get our first follower. Man, this is crazy. It's kind of surreal doing this. It's weird doing this for this series. Because I remember when I started this series, this expansion wasn't even out yet. So by the time we got here, it took a while, didn't it? I took my time to get here. So hey, it's all good though. You know what? I may not be the best at finishing a lot of my Let's Plays. Sometimes I just get burnt out on games, and sometimes I just move on, and sometimes I just forget, or sometimes maybe I just don't feel like it's doing as well as I want. I don't know, just various things. If I don't feel like people are super interested in the game, then I'll stop. But, at the same time, it just depends on how I'm feeling about that specific game. Like, I remember when I first started this channel, before it became like a WoW-specific channel, like I was doing like Legally Blind, and I wanted to like maybe try out some games and see what happens. And back then, I was doing Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which, by the way, I do plan to do a Ocarina of Time playthrough again someday. When I'm really feeling like in the mood to play through that game. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But I actually was doing it way back in the day, and I just kind of like I loved doing it. It was a lot of fun. I was really green. I'm not saying that I'm like pro now, but I was super green. Like I was brand new at like editing and narrating my gameplay, doing the commentary, and trying to all that kind of stuff. And I definitely had some funny moments. Ooh, I think I got it. This is it. Yeah, this is it. Come on. Oh my god. Finally. It's been like an hour I've been doing this. Holy crap. Come on. Come on. Good lord, this dude is hard. But I got it. I finally got it. I finally got it. Come on. Come on. Come on. I got it. What? Back then I was a lot smaller. I don't even know if I had, 1,000 subscribers when I was doing it. Like I was a really small channel back then when I did my Let's Play, and I remember having like 37 views on a video, and I remember saying then, man, wow, 37 people watched my video. That's awesome. Like that's how I felt, and I still feel that way. If I play a game and I see 100 views, like, yeah, I know I have videos with 100,000 views, but when I see 100 people, sometimes it's a lot of times it's more than that. But just saying, like, if I just see 100 people watching me play a game, like that's a privilege, man. Like 100 people wanted to watch me play that game. That's awesome. What a cool thing that is. That's how I feel about it. Like, and if you enjoy the game that you're playing, it doesn't matter so much if you only get a few or if you get more. It doesn't really matter. It's like if you're having fun and people are enjoying watching it, and you're not getting like downvoted to crazy and people are like this is awful. It doesn't matter so much. So like, it's just like sometimes like I'm grateful. I guess my point is, when I see that you guys watch this stuff and tell me I do a great job, even though I may not always respond, you know what, I'll do the Ashran thing, like, off camera or something. It's not a big deal. You get a follower out of it, but we're going to... I hate this part because you actually have to fly on this bat. So let's get over there and I'll finish my thought. here we are. But what I was getting at was, whether it's, 100 of you guys or 1,000 of you guys or 10,000 of you guys or 100,000 of you guys, obviously I'm always happy to see more. But even if it's just 100 people, 100 of you watching a video of me playing a game, it means the world to me. So just want you guys to know, every time you watch one of my videos, every time you enjoy it, you leave feedback and say, man, good job on the video, thanks, and or whatever, you leave feedback, it means the world to me. So even if I don't always respond or see it, sometimes I don't see it, sometimes I do, but I always notice the counts because the way it tells me, and I always appreciate the views. So you guys rock, man. You guys, seriously, like, I really appreciate it. I'm really happy that, like, it's not one of those things that, like, everybody's different. Like when I started preaching, if you didn't know, I do that sometimes. I went to Bible school to be a minister, and when I was preaching, there were two types of preachers, and there was the type that would, people would come to hear them preach, and they would sit and listen to them preach, and they would say, thank you for hearing today or whatever, and then there were the other types that wouldn't do that, and they almost felt like, that the people were the ones who were privileged to come and hear them, because because sometimes if you get enough positive feedback, like, and people really like to hear you preach, like, sometimes people, like, it's not like they're bad people, it's just, it's easy to do this as humans, it's easy to be kind of prideful. It's also easy to fake humility too, so I don't want to sound like I'm doing that either. But, okay, cool, we're going up and do the Blade Spire. Why don't we go over and do this bonus objective? But anyways, if you're not careful when you're preaching in front of people and you have like this like level of authority, I guess, or at least people really value what you say and they value your opinion and your word carries some weight to people, it's easy to get a big head and think, these people are privileged to come and hear me speak. Look how awesome I am. But my thing was always like, if I'm going to speak in front of people and I'm going to spend 30 minutes talking, then I want to do my best to make that 30 minutes mean something to them, and I don't want to waste their time, because I'm grateful that 30 people or 30 people or 300 people or like, again, the same thing, it doesn't matter how many people, a number of people wanted to listen to me talk. If you think about that in real life, I mean, just imagine, like, in real life, if like one person wanted to chill and watch you play a game. Like, that's cool. Like, if your buddy or your girlfriend or your mom or dad or whoever is just going to sit and watch you play a game, like, this is fun watching you play a game, it feels good. So imagine having 30 strangers in a room doing that, or 300. Like, that's how you look at it, and it's like, man, that's really cool that people wanted to sit and watch me play, or talk or do whatever. So you just kind of always hold on to that, like, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that people do that. Like, and I hope I live up to it every time. Even if, or at least get close to it. That's my goal, is to never waste your guys' time. If you watch my video, I hope you leave enjoying it. I hope you leave feeling better. That's why I try not to, especially nowadays, I try to be less cynical, less complainy about things, especially when it comes to this game, because I don't want you, like, watching my videos and expecting it, like, oh, here we go again, another tirade. I don't want to be one of those channels, man. I don't want my channel to be based around, like, a negative circle jerk, if I may speak so boldly and so candidly. I don't want to base my living off of that. Some people do, and it's working for them, and that's their thing, and they're making a lot of money doing that, and they're gaining a lot of popularity doing that, and I don't want to be one of those people. I want to be one of those people that tries to be as positive as I can be. I'm not afraid to criticize. I'm not afraid to call things out. But it's kind of like what I was saying about Ubisoft and the Division. Like, I don't always think that that we need to be so harsh. Like, there's a difference in a failed experiment, trying something and having it not work out, versus just doing standard, or even like. Did you see him freeze my tentacles? What the heck? That was crazy. There's a difference between just, having it be all okay and maybe not as good as it could have been, versus completely stripping a game of all of its content and trying to sell it for the same price. Or having a game not have updated content and still trying to sell it for the same price. You know what game I'm talking about there. There's a difference. You know, it's all about, you know, if you pay, you know, if you, I'm not one who subscribes to the whole, if I pay $60, I should get 60 hours. I think that's silly. Because arguably you could get 60 hours out of every game if you play it. I don't subscribe to that idea. As long as the time I spent was worth it, like for example, The Walking Dead. There, we got our bonus objective done. I love doing those bonus objectives. The Telltale games, you know, those aren't 60-hour games, but the time that I do spend in them is worthwhile. You know, it's fun. It was gripping. I was looking forward to it, and that's what to me. That's what matters. If I buy a game and I turn it off and I'm looking forward to playing it again, then fine. Whether it's 20 hours or, you know, now I'm not saying like obviously if I bought like a game and it only had a single, like for example, I'll give you a good example of this. Super Hot. I think that's what it's called. That game looks awesome. You know, like it's an indie game, I believe, and it's like really cool. It's like this like game that's like the mechanics are based around time. When you move, your enemies move, and the goal is for you to kill your enemies before they kill you. And it's this really cool mechanic, right? The problem is, you know, you buy it. You could on Steam buy the game. A lot of people do this. They'll buy the game. They'll beat the game, and by the time they've beaten the game, they can still get a refund back because they haven't reached the time limit for Steam to not be able to get a refund. If your game lacks that much content, you probably need to consider adding more content to it. And you know there could be a lot of reasons why, you know, why that happened. You know, I'm not blaming those guys. They came up with they're you know, it was like they're a small company. They're an indie company. And you know it can happen, whatever. But I definitely think that like that's a good example of maybe you don't have enough content. Another good example is having a patch and then not releasing a new patch for over a year, and having that patch only last a couple months, if that. You know, you definitely like. So there are times where I think that there can be criticisms. There are criticisms to be made. What am I doing? I don't understand this quest. You know, I swear when I first started doing this, I don't remember doing this part of this. I feel like they added the quest in here somewhere. Because I remember, like, when I first came up here to do this Blade Spire, or whatever this is, I remember immediately putting the flags in the dudes, and now there's, like, this intro part. And I swear this used to not be in the game. I swear. Does anybody know what I'm talking about here? There were times when I never did this quest. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it was added in later. I don't know if I just missed it. I have no idea. I remember everything else but this quest right here. And the last time I saw it was the last Horde player I did before this one. So I don't know what the heck's up with that. But we'll go ahead and... I like running a little bit longer episodes lately. It's fun. They're, you know, sometimes I do short episodes, sometimes I do long ones. And I feel like I get more done, especially in a game like this, if I let it run, you know, maybe 40 minutes instead of 20. So if that's too long, you guys let me know. I can always shorten the episodes. I can always do like a to be continued kind of thing. But it gives me a chance to really talk and share my thoughts with you guys at the time and capture how I'm feeling at the moment, and which can change significantly from time to time. But you know, so, but yeah, I swear I do not remember this quest. Hey, look, it's a piggy. It's a big piggy. Kind of reminds me of that piggy from frickin' what was it, Bloodborne, that almost killed me, that freaked me out. You guys remember that? That was a good time. That freaked me out. I about had a heart attack. Yeah, see, Durotan is the man. He is the man. I love this guy. Also, I have soundtrack on in the background. I hope you... I feel like the soundtrack in Warlords, there's some really good stuff there. I feel like some of it, especially the zones, I feel like it got a little bit repetitive. So, like, unlike... Because in Pandaria, I don't have a lot of soundtrack. Because I love the soundtrack on that expansion, but I feel like the soundtrack on this expansion is really good. It's just a little bit more loopy and repetitive. I don't know. Just my opinion, though. But if you can... I don't know if you can tell what song it is I'm using in this game. It's a little bit more obscure. It's a little bit newer. We haven't played that game in a while, the soundtrack guessing game. But now we're hearing some Warcraft music because I guess the soundtrack mod turned off. No, never mind. We're in Bladespire. So all of my Horde music that I use, like whenever I'm in like a Horde area, I'm a big fan of the War Song music from this expansion, which is what you're hearing right now. It's the War Song theme. It's what I play a lot in Horde areas. It's my theme for Nagrand, just because I'm a big fan of it. It's one of my favorite tracks in the game. It's what you hear in the cinematic whenever what's his name? Grom is speaking with Manaroth. He's like, or no, he's speaking with Gul'dan. It's before Manaroth shows up. It's what you hear when he's like, and what, Gul'dan, must we give in return? That part, and when they're talking, that's what this music is from. So if you're wondering, that's what it's from. I like to try to remember to tell people where I get my music from, just in case, because like there are so many times where you're trying to figure out what song is playing, and it's just driving you crazy because you don't know. And you'll ask people, and then of course you get the Daruda Sandstorm troll. Daruda Sandstorm, and you look it up, it's like, oh, okay. Which is like, basically like a Rickroll. So if anybody ever tells you the theme is Daruda Sandstorm, it's a Rickroll. You're being Rickrolled. So, by the way, there's a new version of Rickrolled out there. I absolutely love it. It's my favorite thing in the world.
And his name is John Cena!
Absolutely think it's hilarious. I can't help it. Like, I remember, look up sometime whenever you're bored, look up the John Cena call video, or like the prank call John Cena video. If you've never seen it, it's hilarious. It's a little bit explicit, so, you know, have your earphones in, or avoid listening to it with your kids around if you have kids. But if you are a kid, get parents' permission, but it's really funny. I'm so happy that there is a John Cena meme out there, and it's John Cena is the Rickroll. That cracks me up. Alright, but anyways, enough about John Cena. That is his name, if you didn't know. Now we gotta wait for Thrall to do his thing, because, you know... Again, I don't remember doing this. I swear. Taking a swig of water real quick. I don't remember this. My first few playthroughs, I swear to God, I never saw this. I don't know. Either I have amnesia or something, but I swear this wasn't in the game at first. I don't know. Maybe it was. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go talk to Durotan now. Anyways. The rest of this I remember, like, perfectly, but I don't remember that at all. I blank. I think Durotan is in here. Yes. Oh, look. Another player. You know, probably won't see any Alliance people here, so maybe I should stay here as long as possible. That's something else I'm interested to see. Is, you know, we've been doing this PvP server, which, by the way, when I do Alliance, I'm not going to do a PvP server. I just don't. I don't know. I don't like it. It's either like I say, it either doesn't happen, or it only happens in the most inconvenient, ganky situation, and I'm just like, why? Why would I do this? This isn't fun. It's not fun to me. It's just not. If that's what World PvP is, then World PvP is overrated. I'm sorry. I know that's blasphemy to some people. And honestly, that's not really what World PvP, you know, is. At least not what I remember. World PvP is when you got like a bunch of Alliance people and a bunch of Horde people, and it's like it starts off as something small, and then it turns into this big like zone-wide brawl between the two factions, and you're like, oh my god, this is epic, and then that's what happens. But that's not what happens in this game when it comes to PvP anymore. It just isn't. So, alright, anyways, we gotta get these little barrels. You gotta fight some ogres. He's an ogre. So yeah, I'm curious to see if once we get out into this zone, if we'll be getting into some more PvP. Very possible. It's hard to tell though. I mean, I'm sure we'll run into people more often, but I mean, even now there are still more people. I mean, people chill in their garrison, or they're either that or they're not in game. So, you know, it's one of those things. It's just people are sometimes here, sometimes there, sometimes not. I don't even know what I'm talking about now. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed my playthrough with the Division. I almost call it Destiny every time. I really enjoy doing those one-offs from time to time. I'm actually planning to do a little bit of a demonstration or a showcase or whatever you want to call it, those one-offs. And, sometimes it might be more than a one-off. But I'm thinking about doing some playthrough with The Division. No, that's the one I just did. I am insane. Black Desert Online is actually the game I'm trying to say. I picked up Black Desert Online. That game's pretty cool. I like it. It's a one-time payment of like $30, and it's like buy to play, not subscription or whatever. And yeah, I'm having fun with it. The combat in that game is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of open worldness to it. So I'm really interested in it. It's a little bit overwhelming. I have no idea what I'm doing half the time. But yeah, I'm definitely into it right now. It's cool. The combat is just really cool the way it is. It's more action oriented, so it's like there's no auto attack, for example. And that's kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm really into it. I want to see what it has to offer, and I'm hoping that it's good. I'm hoping I stick with it because, like, I also have Final Fantasy 14 that I play from time to time. It's a really good MMO. It's funny, man. Like, it cracks me up. It's similar to what people say about Destiny, and I said this in my other video that I was doing, that where people say all the time that Destiny was a flop, it was a failure, and that's just not true. You can say, I personally didn't like Destiny, or it didn't live up to my expectations. You can say that. That's fine. But you cannot say that Destiny was a flop, because it just wasn't. It's just not true. It's got so many, like, it has more players than Warcraft, just to give you an idea. And it is an MMO. It's just, it's just not this. It's an evolution of the MMO genre. MMOs may be changing, right? But that the style is bleeding over into other games, and that's cool. But it's becoming the thing that people like. The MMO feel, even if it's a little bit different, even if it's a little bit, if it changes some, if it's not what we're used to, it's still the same thing. It's just in a different genre. It's just packaged a little bit differently. It's just handled a little bit differently. But it is, by definition, a massively multiplayer online-only game. Like, in the case of Diablo, where you make a game, like, you have to create a game, people can join your game, and you only have 4 people, that's not an MMO. But in a game where you're out in the world and there are tons of other people there with you, I would say more than like 8, more than a dozen at any given time, then that's basically what it's an online MMO. It's borrowing elements from an MMO. You're in an open world. There are other people there. You might only be able to grope. Hope you're not groping with anybody. Yikes! But you might group with a few. But regardless, it's essentially an MMO, and that's what Destiny is. That's what The Division is. They are an evolution, if you will, or an adaptation of what games like World of Warcraft brought to the mainstream, brought to light. And it's what, a lot of, gamers want nowadays. And which is bringing me to my point. Destiny was not a flop because it sold well, had a huge player base, still has a huge player base, still one of the top played games on PSN and Xbox Live. So it is by definition not a failure. It is a success. A failure, you could argue that Warlords of Draenor is a failure, because of how many players it lost at the rate that it lost them. That, by definition, is a failure. Even if certain aspects of it were good, and it may be personally your favorite expansion, there are just far too many people that obviously feel differently. So you could argue that this expansion was a failure just by that alone, if that's what you're basing your argument on. But then there's this whole other thing about people saying that MMOs are dead or MMOs are dying, and again, there's just there's nothing that substantiates that other than the decline of WoW, which and WoW is a huge game. Like, WoW is a juggernaut. It is, okay, put it this way, WoW is like the Hulk Hogan of MMOs. Like, Hulk Hogan, if you were a wrestling fan, even if you're not a wrestling fan, you probably know who Hulk Hogan is. Like, Hulk Hogan was the guy that non-wrestling fans, even non-wrestling fans, knew who he was. He was, like, relevant beyond wrestling. He was culturally relevant. Like, even though wrestling was like, whatever, It had its fan base. It was a niche thing. Some people liked it. Everybody knew who Hulk Hogan was. He brought people in to wrestling. That's kind of what WoW is. WoW is that thing that caught fire and went far beyond its genre at that time, and far beyond anything that had ever, been created within the genre, and became culturally relevant. And you had commercials. It was on South Park, and all those things that made it the success that it was. It's mind-blowing, even to Blizzard, that WoW did as well as it did, and it has done as well as it has done, and for the record, can do as well as it could do in the future. It's not done yet, but it's a part of our culture. When you look back at all the things that were cool in the past, like you look back at history and what was relevant and what was whatever, World of Warcraft is among the things. It will be remembered to some degree, kind of like Hulk Hogan will be remembered to some degree. It's a part of history. They succeeded at that. And a lot of that was luck, and some of that was well done on their part. But regardless, that's what WoW is. When people see that WoW is declining, they think that means that the genre as a whole is falling. And when you look at other games, the knockoffs, like you look at Aeon, you look at Age of Conan, even some a lot of people view like Star Wars as a failure, even though it's not. Star Wars is doing great. Terra, another one that's free to play, it's doing fine. A lot of them went free to play and they adapted and they gained a following. Those are good games. Star Wars: The Old Republic is a good game. Terra is a good game, even though I don't agree with its creepiness. What's another good one? Final Fantasy XIV has over, I think, 2 million players. Think about that for a minute. World of Warcraft has less than 5 million now, and Final Fantasy has over 2. So that gap is suddenly not so big. But for any game to have a steady 2 million players, especially when it's a subscription game, that's very telling. Destiny had over 20 million, just to give you an idea though. So that's something. Consoles go a long way, y'all. For you PC elitists, I'm sorry. I love PC gaming. I love console gaming. I don't love one more than the other. Just depends on the game. It depends on which friends I have playing it. That's all that matters to me. But most people play consoles. That's just the way it is. And whenever a game goes console, it usually does better. Just almost always. My point, though, with all this, when you see these other games coming out, when you see games like The Division come out that are borrowing elements from the MMO, and that's what's selling the game, that's what makes the game interesting to people, and then you have games like Destiny, you have Final Fantasy, you've got Black Desert Online, which gains a lot of attention, you had Blade and Soul, which was getting a lot of attention. Some of them don't have the holding power, some of them do. Guild Wars 2 is another one I haven't mentioned that has a player base. Point being, they might not be the hot thing right now, but they're not dead either. They're not dying. They're just, they're finally, what would you say? They're finally reaching their, they're getting their place. You know what I mean? It was a baby genre when WoW came out. It was still a very young genre. There were a few before it, and there are some that had been out for quite a while, but as a whole, think about the first duck and cover shooter games. They think about the first FPSs. Those aren't baby genres anymore. WoW was the one that made this relevant, and it's finally reaching its kind of it's not peaking necessarily, because you never know what people are going to come up with, but it is reaching it's getting its place. Genres that are dying, old grindy turn-based RPGs, for example, that right there, that is a statement that would make some people mad, but it's just the way it is. Let's grab a couple more treasures. But, stuff like that. Also, we will unlock Blade Spire Citadel. Yay for us. There are certain genres that are falling apart. There's a reason why Final Fantasy VII is being completely remade into a more action-based game. They're just not as fun anymore. They don't work anymore. I think we'll see a comeback one day for those, though, because they were successful at one point, and there's no reason to believe they wouldn't ever be again. But you know what? We're going to go take out that elite, and then we'll call it quits. But I wanted to finish this thought. So there are genres that do come and go there are some that have kind of died off. I mean, think about, like, here's another good example. Think of the classic choose-your-own-adventure games. You know, for the longest time, those were gone. You know, like, no one played those. Oregon Trail-style games. You know, and then Telltale came out, and they found a way to make that whole thing relevant again, and do it in a way that had some of the best storytelling that I've ever seen in video games ever. Oh, okay. Send out my guys. See, this is what you do in this fight. You just send out your call to arms, and then you go nuts on this guy. So yeah, I mean, like, think about it like that. Like, you know, like, anything can happen in a genre. You never know. Holy crap, this guy hurts. What a douche. Okay, can we heal up some? Thank you, guys. I almost died. We got it, though. That was awesome. Why am I still in combat, though? Can I leave combat? I guess what I'm saying is, what I'm getting at here is, like, never count anything out. Like, never, oh, this is dead. Like, that whole phrase, first of all, it's not dead because it's not a living being. It was never alive to begin with, so it's a hyperbolic statement to begin with. But, like, WoW is not dead. It's not dying. It's just going through a phase, maybe. It could die. I mean, it just depends. But it's not dying because there are still people playing it. There are more people interested in it. So it's just one of those phrases I wish we could just, like, eliminate entirely. It's dead. No, it's not. If it was, you wouldn't be talking about it. That's when something is dead, when it's no longer relevant. Having said that, this is a good time to call it. So, I've just kind of been rambling for a while, like I always do. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We unlocked Bladespire, we got Durotan back on his throne, and we're going to continue our adventures in Frostfire Ridge next time. So, thank you guys for watching. Do not forget to vote on what class you want to see me play in Season 2, and I will get right on that as soon as we wrap this one up. But we are going to continue our adventures here with the Warrior. It's been a heck of a run. So thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day. This is Kephas. Until next time.